Sudah?
Ya, sudah Pak.
Okay. So let's open to Philemon. And let's just read verse 1 to 3. Mega, can you read that for us?
Oke, Philemon 1 ayat 1 sampai 3, Pak, maaf.
Yep, baik.
Oke. Philemon 1 ayat 1 sampai 3. Dari Paulus, seorang hukuman karena Kristus Yesus, dan dari Timotius, saudara kita, kepada Philemon yang terkasih, teman sekerja kami, dan kepada Apfia, saudara perempuan kita, dan kepada Arkipus, teman seperjuangan kita, dan kepada jemaat di rumahmu. Kasih karunia dan damai sejahtera dari Allah Bapa kita dan dari Tuhan Yesus Kristus menyertai kamu.
Okay. So, bagaimana dengan observasi dari itu? Kita lihat ada berapa banyak nama? How many names do we see there?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
5.
5. Okay.
Names.
Go ahead. Tell me all the names that are there.
Paulus, Philemon, Timotius, Apfia, dan Arkipus.
Ya.
Okay. Okay, good.
Jesus Christ is a name or not?
Which one?
Jesus Christ.
Yes, if you forgot that one, you have to go home. Yeah. That's right. And don't forget the Father.
Yeah, the Father, 7.
Okay, so 7 names, which is interesting. Now, I don't know if Paul did that on purpose, but it's interesting. 7 is often symbolic for perfection or completeness, but I don't know if that's intentional there. But let's think about a few things, okay? Kalau kita berpikir tentang latar belakang Alkitab, okay? So we have Timothy. If we're thinking about the biblical context and we see some names, where is Timothy from? Where do we find Timothy? So he's writing this letter with Paul. Is it important for us to know anything about Timothy? I mean, if he's writing the letter, we should find out a little bit of information from him. Okay, so buka ke Kisah Para Rasul, open to the book of Acts, chapter 16. Okay, Vera, can you read for us verse 1 to 5?
Paulus datang juga ke Derbe dan ke Listra. Di situ ada seorang murid bernama Timotius. Ibunya adalah seorang Yahudi dan telah menjadi percaya, sedangkan ayahnya seorang Yunani. Ini dikenal baik oleh saudara-saudara di Listra dan di Ikonium. Dan Paulus mau supaya ia menyertainya dalam perjalanan. Paulus menyuruh mengingatkan dia karena orang-orang Yahudi di daerah itu, sebab setiap orang tahu bahwa bapaknya adalah orang Yunani. Dalam perjalanan keliling dari kota ke kota, Paulus dan Silas menyampaikan keputusan yang diambil para rasul dan para penatua di Yerusalem dengan pesan supaya jemaat-jemaat menurutinya. Demikianlah jemaat-jemaat diteguhkan dalam iman dan makin lama makin bertambah besar jumlahnya.
Okay, good. So, what do we know about Timothy?
Dia dikenal baik oleh saudara-saudara di Listra dan di Iconium.
Okay, bagus. Dan di mana tempat-tempat itu?
Listra.
Iya.
Ibunya seorang Yahudi, ayahnya Yunani.
Tapi di mana Listra? Di mana Iconium?
Asia Minor.
Yeah, Asia Minor. That's right.
Minor.
Good. Yeah. Let me find for us. Okay, this will work. Okay. Okay, so ini peta. So where do we see Lystra on this map?
Wait.
All right, so here's Lystra. Oh, that's a bad pen. Let's make that smaller. So here's Lystra. Here's Iconium.
Mhm.
And what does it say that in verse 5 that we read? So Timothy is from this region, dia asal dari daerah ini, right? And what does it say in verse 5? He had followed Paul and done what?
Paulus mau dia ikut menyertai Paulus dan disunatkan dulu.
Yep. So he followed Paul, and then what does it say in verse 5? What was their mission? What did they do? Apa yang dilakukan oleh mereka?
Nah.
Demikianlah.
Jemaat diteguhkan dalam iman. Supaya mereka bertambah besar, bertambah banyak.
Yeah.
Pengikutnya.
So they went to which parts? Where did they go and do that? So all the churches, Lystra, Iconium, They went to this church in Antioch. They went to this church in Philadelphia, Sardis. We know that there was a church in Smyrna. There's a church in Ephesus. That one's famous, right? We know that one. Pergamum, that one's famous. We know that one from the book of Revelation. Miletus, there was a church there. Laodicea, we know that one, right? We've heard that before. And this one is famous, Colossae, right? We know that one. We know Perga. We don't know this one, but there may have been a church there. And we know this one, Derbe. We know there's a church there. And so Paul and Timothy, who is from this area, they went and they ministered to all these churches over here, okay? So let's go back to our latter block on. Let's go to an observation about, so if we have our egg, we are now making observations from the Kulit Talor. Okay, and we're looking at where else in the Bible do we have some information about some themes or ideas that take place. So Paul starts his letter that we read in Philemon, and he says this letter is from Timothy and Paul. Now, how does two people write a letter? Bagaimana dua orang bisa menulis satu surat? So are they both holding the pen? You know, you've got Paul's hand and Timothy's hand, and they're kind of writing together. Is that what's happening?
No, I'm sure that Paul is writing, but they exchanged ideas or talked about what to write, I guess.
Okay, so yeah, they're exchanging ideas. And so the content of the letter, though, represents what is coming out of both of their hearts, right? And they're talking in the book of Philemon about this person, Onesimus, and they're giving testimony about him, that he is a true believer, that he has had a conversion, and that he is now a brother in Christ. Why is it then important that Paul and Timothy are writing this letter? Is there another place in the Bible where testimony, kesaksian, talks about two people?
I have no idea, but I would guess that maybe legally you need two people.
Yes, good. So where do we find that in the Bible? We find that in a few places, but one of them is Kitab Ulangan, Pasal 19. So we find that in Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 15. Can you read that for us, Lucy?
That won't help you. It's in German.
Okay, maybe we'll ask Irene if you can read that for us. Ulangan pasal 19 ayat 15.
Satu orang saksi saja tidak dapat menggugat seorang mengenai perkara kesalahan apapun atau dosa apapun yang mungkin dilakukannya. Baru atas keterangan 2 atau 3 orang saksi perkara itu tidak disangsikan.
Okay, so when we read that Paul and Timothy are writing this letter, part of what he's trying to communicate there is that this is not simply